On April 26, 1986, everything went as usual at the Chernobyl nuclear power facility in Ukraine. Reactor number 4 was undergoing a regular test when a serious design defect was discovered in several of the reactor's components. Huge amounts of heat were produced as a result. The scientist in charge of the test started an emergency shutdown, but he did it completely incorrectly because he had no training at all. The reactor's heat output soared as a result of this. Then there was a tremendous power increase, which resulted in a huge explosion. The scientists quickly realized the entire power plant was going to explode, so they fled right away, but it was too late for many. The blast resembled a very potent dirty bomb. That bomb holds radioactive material, which spread around Europe in a large cloud, making the power station and its surroundings one of the most dangerous locations on Earth. Everyone in the area had 24 hours following the explosion to leave, take what items they could, and say their final goodbyes to their houses. An exclusion zone of 30 kilometers was established around the power facility. To ensure that nothing could enter or exit, this was done. Any persons or animals entering the zone would be at risk, and any infected objects leaving the zone would also be at risk. But since then, some terrifying things have been discovered in Chernobyl. Scientists and researchers have frequently visited the exclusion zone, and on several occasions, what they discovered there really frightened them. One of the scariest things they have discovered is the black bird, which is one of the scariest things they have discovered there. Chernobyl experts observed this and even took pictures of it, and that took place immediately following the meltdown. Something unusual was spotted in the skies just before Ukraine was rocked by the worst nuclear explosion in history. A flying object with what seemed to be a half-human, half-bird body and flashing red eyes was spotted in the sky. It is referred to as the Black Bird of Chernobyl. It had wings that were so enormous that it was neither a bird nor a bat. Unfortunately, a scientist's blurry photographs are the only evidence for the Chernobyl black bird. The fact that this is not just a bird, however, is evident even from these pictures. According to specialists, it resembles a huge golden-crowned flying fox. This particular megabat species can be found in the Philippines. However, there haven't been any reports of these in Ukraine. Therefore, it differs slightly from them. Some others thought that this might have been a play for the military. The Blackbird was seen a few days after the explosion as well, so maybe the Soviet Air Force was watching the breakdown from the air. It was observed flying through nuclear discharges and smoke as well, but after a few days it disappeared and was never again seen. The identity of the Blackbird is still a mystery. But there is one thing we can be certain of: there are a lot of altered creatures in the Chernobyl forest. A large number of animals died right quickly after the explosion. They contacted highly radioactive objects, which explains why. For instance, the power plant's debris was dispersed across a distance of several kilometers on the explosion side. However, the bomb had terrible long-term effects on the animals that did survive because radioactive waste from the facility spilled into the earth. All of the food and water that the animals consumed was tainted as a result. Furthermore, the atmosphere in the region is extremely radioactive, resulting in the birth of mutant horses and pigs after the explosion. Numerous stray canines and mutant wolves have lately been discovered in the Chernobyl forests, in addition to the numerous wild horses and strays that once roamed the area. And these wolves are now disseminating radioactively induced mutations to wolves all over Europe. Even though Chernobyl erupted more than 30 years ago, it is still true. Today, the repercussions are still being felt. Additionally, mutant catfish have been discovered in the cooling pond at Chernobyl. The cooling pond was a sizable body of water used to prevent the reactors from overheating. Today, these cooling pools are no longer needed, and the wonderful thing is that catfish have adapted to live there. The catfish are enormous. The radioactive substances in the water have caused them to mutate. Surprisingly, the cooling ponds are not currently the Chernobyl power plant's most dangerous location. In actuality, Chernobyl's nuclear elephant is the area that poses the greatest threat. For a long time, this area was also known as the elephant's foot. Even taking images of this location was impossible. This is so that you wouldn't get too close and die right away. In the Chernobyl nuclear power plant's basement, one of the most popular reactor core lava formations is the elephant's foot. The first image of it was captured in 1996, and it weighs many tons and is 2 meters broad. Approaching it implies that you will die. Many referred to the elephant's foot as Medusa at that time because it was only generating a tenth of the radiation all at once. The first image of the elephant's foot had to be taken using a mirror because if you stare at it, you will die. This is similar to the woman in Greek mythology who, if you look at her, will turn you to stone. In order to prevent any direct contact with the photographer, who would otherwise have passed away, this was done. However, after that time, direct contact has occurred. Your health is harmed by this, yet some scientists sacrifice their lives to advance science. The elephant's foot is the actual wreckage of reactor number 4, which was the first reactor to blow up and start the meltdown. However, the elephant's foot is actually formed of a very lethal concoction of numerous distinct compounds. Although it mostly consists of silicon dioxide, the resource also contains magnesium, uranium, and graphite, which when combined produce extremely high amounts of radioactivity. As a result, it probably won't be safe to approach the elephant's foot for hundreds of years to come. After the explosion, the mass was completely solid, and when researchers used a remote drill on it, there was no damage at all. Because it would expose you to a lethal dosage of radiation, standing near to the elephant's foot would lead you to die in 5 minutes, and doing so even now for longer than 24 hours would result in your death. Almost everything about Chernobyl is terrifying, but if you visit, you won't simply be alarmed by the effects of the explosion. Decades of horror movies have more than established this one simple fact of life. Old, broken dolls are creepy, especially when they're hanging around nuclear ghost towns. Pripyat is full of old, broken dolls, so many that there almost seems to be some weird horror movie creepy doll mad scientist cloning program going on somewhere in town, most likely in the vicinity of the sarcophagus. Wherever you go in Pripyat, creepy dolls stare at you. According to Chernobyl Gallery, which is where you should go if you're really into ruins, Middle School number 3 contains the most photographed collection of gas masks in all of Pripyat. One of the rooms in the crumbling building is practically carpeted with gas masks, and of course there's also a gas mask wearing doll propped on a stool in the middle of the room, because it's Pripyat, and there always has to be a creepy doll somewhere. The tress in the area of about 4 square miles turned reddish-brown and died from absorbing all the radiation. The Chernobyl Forum declared in 2005 that this has paradoxically become a unique sanctuary for biodiversity.